You know, you don't see a government agency just disappear every day.
No, you don't.
But that's kind of what seems to be happening right now with USAID.
It is. It's,
Like, poof.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, for anyone who's not totally familiar, USAID is the U.S. Agency for International Development.
Right.
It's huge. It works in over 100 countries.
Yeah, it's a big one.
This is a really big deal, what's happening here.
I mean, it's not just your typical budget cuts or some, policy tweaks here and there. This is like they're trying to dismantle USAID, like totally from the inside.
Yeah.
And we've got President Trump leading the charge.
Oh, yeah. He's all over this.
And then you've got Elon Musk, kind of surprisingly, with his Department of Government Efficiency.
Right, right.
And, of course, we've got thousands of USAID workers.
Oh, totally.
And all the people that they help.
Yeah, caught in the middle of it all.
Absolutely.
It's like someone just yanked the rug out from under everybody's feet.
They did.
We've got this incredible report from the Associated Press.
Oh, yeah.
Really lays it all out, like the chaos that's unfolding.
Yeah, it does.
So let's try to figure this out,
Right.
How did we even get to this point? Where could this be headed?
Right. Well, the actions they've taken are pretty dramatic, right? We're talking a total funding freeze, staff being put on administrative leave, overseas workers being given 30 days to get back to the U.S. They're even, taking the agency's name off the building.
Seriously. I read that and I was like, wait, what?
I know.
This is like out of a movie or something.
I know.
Can you even imagine? Like, you go to work one day, your computer doesn't work, and they're like, pack your bags, you've got a month to get out of the country.
Right. And that's what a lot of these USAID workers are facing right now.
Yeah.
This report, it really highlights, just how sudden this was and how big these changes are.
Yeah.
You've got people scrambling for housing, families being uprooted.
Right.
This feeling of uncertainty everywhere you look.
Yeah.
You hear stories of people who have built their whole careers around international development.
Yeah. Their lives?
Their lives in other countries, and suddenly, bam, everything's flipped upside down.
I was thinking, imagine you're that USA worker, say, in Kenya. You've built your life there. Maybe you've even raised a family.
Right.
And they tell you, you've got to go back to the U.S. in a month. Go back to a place you might not have lived in for decades.
I know.
That's going to be tough.
It really puts a human face on these decisions, doesn't it?
It does.
Makes you think about the actual people who are affected by this.
For sure.
And on top of all this, you've got all these different sides of the story coming out. It's really confusing.
Oh, yeah, it's a mess.
You've got Trump saying, close it down.
Yeah, like it's nothing.
He's saying USAID is bloated, inefficient, all that.
Right, right.
Then you got Democratic lawmakers pushing back, saying he doesn't even have the authority to do this.
Yeah, totally.
It's like a tug of war, and it's people's lives that are at stake.
Yeah, exactly. Then you've got Senator Rubio.
Right, he's saying that the essential programs are still running fine.
But then USAID officials are like, nope.
Yeah, they're disputing that,
Yeah.
saying this funding freeze is causing major problems.
So who do you believe?
It's just a total mess.
Okay, so we've got this huge shutdown happening. Everyone's fighting about it, and nobody knows what's actually going on.
Yeah, pretty much.
But let's try to figure out, why this is happening.
Okay.
What's the reasoning behind all this?
Well, budget cuts, that's a big one.
Right, of course.
The Trump administration has always been really critical of how much we spend on foreign aid.
Yeah.
They say it's a waste of money, that it doesn't work,
Right, right.
but it seems like there's more to it than that.
Like what?
Well, they keep saying they want to make sure the aid aligns with national interest.
That sounds familiar, but what does that even mean?
Yeah, it's kind of vague, right?
Hmm.
But I think it means they want to use aid to help the U.S. strategically.
Oh.
Not just focusing on helping people or developing countries.
Right.
It's more about what's in it for us.
I see. So it's like they stopped that $450 million in food aid.
Yeah, that's a perfect example.
That's a lot of food.
It is. And it's not reaching people who really need it.
That's rough.
It really makes you think about what their priorities are.
Yeah.
Are they thinking long-term or just trying to get a quick win?
And if USAID officials are right, and those essential programs aren't getting waivers like Rubio says,
Right.
What does that tell us?
It's like they're saying one thing but doing another.
Yeah.
If they really wanted to make USAID more efficient,
Like they're saying.
yeah, why would they just stop all these important programs?
That doesn't make sense.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder what else they're not being straight about.
Yeah. And I mean, this isn't just about saving money or playing politics, is it?
No, it's not.
This is affecting real people's lives.
Absolutely.
It's affecting, whole regions. It could even hurt the U.S. in the long run.
I agree. It's a big deal.
You can't just cut off aid and expect everything to be fine.
Right.
Things could get really unstable.
For sure. And who's going to step in when that happens?
Right. It could create like a power vacuum.
Yeah.
And someone else might take advantage of that, maybe even someone we don't want to.
Right. It could hurt our relationships with other countries.
Absolutely.
It's like a chain reaction, you know?
It is, and it's already starting to happen.
So we can see the impact of this already, and it doesn't seem like it's going to end anytime soon.
No, it doesn't.
But before we talk about what might happen next, we should hear from some of those people whose lives are being turned upside down by all of this.
Yeah, definitely. We need to hear their stories.
Because while all this political stuff is going on, there are real people who are having to deal with the consequences.
That's right. Real people with real families.
Yeah, and we can't forget about them.
We can't. Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in all the politics and the policies.
Right, totally.
But we can't forget about, the people.
Yeah.
The people whose lives are actually being affected by all of this. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about people who have spent their whole careers doing this work, working in international development.
And a lot of times, they're in some really tough places.
Yeah, dangerous even.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden they're losing their jobs. They have to move.
Yeah.
So much uncertainty. It's got to be hard.
Yeah, the article talks about these workers who have built their lives abroad. They've been there for years, and now they have 30 days to pack up and go back to the U.S.
Yeah.
Like, go back to a place they might not even consider home anymore.
It's crazy.
I mean, families are being uprooted. Kids have to leave their schools in the middle of the year.
It's not right.
It's all because of these decisions, these policies.
Right, and it makes you think about the trade-offs here.
Yeah.
Like, on the one hand, yeah, the government should be efficient. It should try to save money.
Right.
But on the other hand, you can't just ignore the impact this has on people.
Yeah, you've got to think about that.
You got to consider the long-term consequences.
Totally.
It makes you wonder, like, how do we even measure efficiency?
Right. Is it just about saving money?
Yeah, is it just about dollars and cents?
Or is there something else?
Like, what about experience? What about the relationships we build with other countries?
Right. What about, like, doing the right thing?
Exactly. There are ethical considerations here, too.
It's a tough question.
And it's not just USAID workers who are worried.
Oh, yeah, it's spreading.
People in the State Department are worried about losing their jobs, too.
Like a domino effect.
Exactly. It's this ripple effect of uncertainty across the whole government.
And it's not just government employees, is it?
No, it's not.
We have to think about the people who depend on USAID programs.
Right. The people who actually benefit from the work they do.
Yeah, like farmers or people who need health care.
Communities that need help.
Families who rely on food aid.
All of them.
This is a huge disruption for them.
It is, and it's all connected, isn't it?
Totally.
These decisions they make in Washington, they affect people all over the world.
And it really raises the question, like, what is the U.S. role in all of this?
Yeah.
What are we trying to do? Help people? Look after our own interests?
It's a big question.
It is. And in the middle of all this, we've got this legal battle going on.
Oh, yeah. That lawsuit.
Adds another layer of complexity to it all.
It does.
So what's the latest on that? What's happening with the lawsuit?
Well, the judge just made a ruling.
Okay.
It's a partial win for the workers, I guess you could say.
How so?
Well, the judge blocked those leave orders.
Ah, so they don't have to go back to the U.S. right away.
No. And they also blocked that 30-day deadline.
Okay. That's got to be a relief for those people who are trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, it must be, at least for now.
But does it actually change anything in the long run?
Well, that's the thing. The judge didn't block the funding freeze.
Ah, so they might not have to leave right away.
Right.
But they still don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly. They don't know if they'll even have jobs to go back to. They don't know if their programs will continue.
So they're stuck in limbo.
They are. It's like hitting pause on a movie right before the climax.
Oh, yeah. You're like, wait, what's going to happen?
Exactly. Something big is coming, but nobody knows what it is.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
So, yeah, the judge's ruling gives them a little bit of breathing room.
Oh, okay.
But the big questions are still there.
Like, is what Trump's doing even legal?
Right. And what's going to happen to USAID in the long term?
Nobody knows.
And one thing the judge said really stuck with me.
What was that?
He was talking about the difference between being put on leave in Syria versus being put on leave in Bethesda, Maryland.
Yeah, I read that. It was a good point.
He was basically saying, like, being on paid leave sounds nice, but it's different when you're in a dangerous place.
Yeah, totally.
In Syria, these workers rely on support systems, security.
Right.
They need that infrastructure to stay safe.
And when they're on leave, they don't have that.
Exactly. It's a whole different ballgame.
It makes you realize that these decisions made in Washington,
Right.
they have different consequences depending on where you are in the world.
Exactly. And this isn't the first time the Trump administration has run into trouble with the courts, is it?
No, I think the article mentioned some other stuff, right?
Yeah, there have been other cases where judges have blocked their policies.
Okay.
Usually because of procedural stuff
Mm-hmm.
or because they were overstepping their authority.
Right, so this USAID thing fits into a pattern.
It does. It shows that they can't just do whatever they want.
So what does this legal battle mean for USAID's future?
It's hard to say. It's still early,
Yeah.
but it definitely throws a wrench in their plans.
Okay.
Now they have to defend what they're doing in court.
Right.
It might slow things down, maybe even encourage other people to file lawsuits, too.
So it's a waiting game now.
Pretty much, we have to see what the courts decide.
But even if they side with the administration,
Yeah.
there are still a lot of questions.
A lot of unanswered questions.
What happens to the workers who have to come back to the U.S.?
Right.
What about the programs that are being shut down?
Good questions.
What does this all mean for America's role in helping other countries?
Yeah, we're in uncharted territory here. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're at a turning point here.
It does.
This isn't just about one agency.
Yeah.
It's about how America sees its role in the world.
Yeah, how we approach foreign aid.
Exactly. And the decisions they make in the next few weeks, months, is going to have a huge impact for years to come.
Absolutely. This is major stuff.
But let's try to make sense of it all.
Okay.
I mean, where do we even begin? This whole thing has been crazy.
Well, I think the first thing is just how fast this has all happened.
Yeah, it's been like a whirlwind.
And how sweeping the changes are.
Right, right.
I mean, they froze funding, put staff on leave, stopped programs, all in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, it's not like they've eased into this.
No, not at all. It's been a very different approach.
And then you've got all these different sides of the story.
Oh.
All these different reasons why they're doing this.
It's a mess.
So on one side, you've got Trump and his people saying that USAI is wasteful, inefficient.
Bloated, they say.
Right, and they need to cut the budget.
And they keep talking about national interest.
Right.
Like they're skeptical of foreign aid in general.
Like it's a bad thing.
Yeah, like it doesn't work.
But then, you have people from USAID.
Right. The people who actually work there.
And experts, and even some lawmakers.
Yeah, from both parties.
And they're saying, wait a minute.
Yeah, they're pushing back.
USAID does important work. It helps America's interests.
Right. They're saying it's actually effective.
And shutting it down like this could cause all kinds of problems.
Exactly. It's a huge risk.
And then there's the whole thing about the waivers.
Yeah.
Is the administration really letting essential programs continue?
It's hard to say. They say one thing, USAID officials say another.
Yeah, it's like, who do you believe?
It's a battle of narratives.
And all of this is happening while these people's lives are being turned upside down.
Right. The human impact of all of this.
Yeah, we've heard from USAID workers.
Yeah, their stories are powerful.
They've dedicated their lives to this work.
Right.
And now they're losing their jobs. They have to move.
It's heartbreaking.
They have to uproot their families.
And we can't forget about all the people around the world.
Right, the people who rely on USAID.
The people who benefit from these programs.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot, too.
It really makes you think about the consequences of these decisions.
It's not just about politics. It's about people's lives.
Exactly. Real people are being affected by this.
And then you throw in this legal battle.
Oh, yeah. The lawsuit.
Makes everything even more complicated.
It does.
The court rulings have helped the workers a little bit.
Yeah, for now.
But the big issues are still there.
Right. It's not over yet.
And this whole legal battle, it could have a big impact, not just on USAID, but on the government as a whole.
Absolutely. It's a question of who has the power to do what.
Right. So a lot of uncertainty, a lot of questions.
So many questions.
The biggest one being, what happens next?
Yeah, what now?
I mean, nobody knows for sure.
We're in uncharted waters here.
But there are a few possibilities.
Okay, like what?
Well, Congress could step in.
Right.
They could say, hey, this is our job. We decide about foreign aid.
That would be a big deal.
It would. They could block the funding freeze, maybe even stop the administration from dismantling USAID.
It's possible.
Or, the lawsuits could keep going.
Right.
More court rulings, more back and forth.
Could take years.
And USAID would just be stuck in this limbo.
Yeah, more uncertainty.
Or, maybe the administration just gets its way.
Yeah, despite all the pushback.
They downsize USAID, maybe even get rid of it completely.
That would be a huge change.
It would. A real shift in America's place in the world.
So many possibilities.
Hard to know what's going to happen.
But one thing's for sure. This story isn't over yet.
And we'll be here to cover it every step of the way.
Absolutely.
So we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about why this is happening, what people are saying about it, how it's affecting people's lives.
And legal battles.
Right. But I think the biggest question we're left with is, how do we measure success here?
That's a good question.
If the administration is right, and this is all about making USAID more efficient,
Right.
how do we know if they've succeeded?
Yeah, is it just about saving money?
Or is there more to it than that?
What about the impact on people?
What about global stability?
What about America's influence in the world?
These are tough questions.
They are, but they're important questions.
And we need to keep asking them.
We do.
So thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the USIA shakeup.
Thanks for having me.
It's a complicated story, and it's not over yet.
Not by a long shot.
We'll keep digging into it, and we'll keep you updated.
We will.
Thanks for listening.